Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and I'm here with Jon Miller of Outpouring Comics, and he's got a Kickstarter going on already. What, 42% completed?
I believe 43% now. And hello, all.
43%. So Jon Miller here.
I mean, I could probably pull that number up really quick if you want me to.
Nice. Okay, sorry, I actually have my I actually had it live going in my ears. Just this is what I get for doing things live and not checking things first. Anyways, okay, let's get right into this. So, guys, we got Jon Miller, Outpouring Comics, and we're just going to jump right into it. And he's going to talk about the Kickstarter. I've got the links below, so you can, by all means, check out as he's talking, all that good stuff. So, Jon, please take it away.
Okay, so I actually just double-checked. It's actually 46% now. We are bringing back our flagship series. We haven't released a title in our flagship series actually for over 2 years now, and as part of rebranding and getting back to our where we originally came from, Voda seemed like the logical place to relaunch and restart again. So the original 3 books are still canon, so that is an important thing to know. However, this is the equivalent of a reboot. We are picking up 3 months after the 3rd book happened, and you're actually seeing what Voda evolved into during that course of time. Previously, anyone who remembers, you remember them as a villain protagonist. You remember their story of suffering loss, and you remember that they were pulling together the team as a way of taking out revenge on a world that turned its back on them. During that 3-month time, their face changed a little, being that it's no longer just Deadeye, Mr. Mole, and Gorilla Ghost, but it's also Ninjina, Granny, and the Omni Project that joined the team. But something with their mentality changed too. They realized that they didn't have to take revenge out because they lost everything. Because what they lost, they found again in each other. And Voda became a family. So this time around with Voda, we're taking a little more of a almost like an A-team approach with them. They're a family. They're not taking prisoners. They're forcing out everyone in their way, but ultimately they're doing it for each other. And they're trying to clear their names some because they realize they can't take the approach of the 6 of them against the world. And they no longer see the need to. So now they're going out and they're trying to clear that name a little after what they've learned about each other. So yeah, and that's where we're picking up. Gorilla Ghost, the desert village of Indian Spring, which borders Death Valley. Voda stands for the Valley of Death Alliance, and he has been sent there to help try to clear their names some. He gets to the town and quickly finds out that the chief of police is more than willing to talk to him because the town is under an attack by some sort of psychic presence. Gorilla Ghost thinks this is 1, 2, 3. It's pretty easy. He knows he has strong mental resistance, so he says, you know what, if this clears our name, by all means, I'll take care of your psychic problem. Chief of police points him in the right direction, and, well, that's 4 pages in, and then the story really takes a turn. So, yeah. Any questions off of that, or?
Well, the first 4 pages alone are actually on the Kickstarter if anybody wants to check that out, because I followed that story already. I like the idea that there's mystery within mystery. Like, he walks in, he says, that's where the sulfur smell is coming from. And he asks the chief of police, do you want to know why your guys smell like sulfur? So I love that you guys have that mystery wrapped in a mystery thing, because now I want to know why they smell like frickin' sulfur.
Yeah, well, I mean, if we put page 5 up, it would actually become pretty obvious why it is. And I'll be completely honest, I'm not looking to spoil page 5 for probably another 2 weeks. Now, every Wednesday I do run a Kickstarter live, and I run it to the Facebook. And if we at any point in time get 25 viewers on a Wednesday night, I will spoil it, and I will answer questions about the villain. But I'm saving that for the last 10 days of the Kickstarter, just so people can be kept in suspense up to that point. I can't give away the whole story now, and I can't give away the whole story before it comes out anyway. So, but yeah, it does tie into the psychic presence. I'm sure. I'm sure everyone has had enough experiences with literature or comics or movies or whatever to have very good suspicions as to how the two things tie in with each other, and why there's a story, why it's not Gorilla Ghost stomps in, kicks some buttons, and saves the day. So, because, well, obviously that would be pretty boring.
Well, it's almost like that in the beginning. He just walks in and beats up a cop and says, "Yeah, I actually come in peace." But one thing I'm going to say, without trying to
attack him first, right?
I did see they might have shot at him a little bit. But one thing I wanted to say, without insulting what came before, is that the art really looks so much crisper now. It looks like it came right off the shelves of a digital comic.
We are trying really hard. One of the things as part of the rebrand that we've been working on for the last year, we've tried to up the game with the artwork. We are taking it to a professional level. Every step is being edited along the way. We're hiring a higher caliber of artists. We used to do second-party publishing before. The money that we saved from cutting third-party titles, we actually put all into upgrading the caliber of artists that we have. And Chris Madd is an incredibly talented artist. He's been doing it for a short while. He's building a name for himself, and fortunately for us, our goals aligned for now, and he did a crazy great job on it. We're really proud of it. I personally feel that having an editor working along with me made my writing that much better. Our letterer, Sarah, she has greatly improved. Sarah's my wife. She has greatly improved lettering from, if you look at her earlier stuff and then you look at stuff from 2 years ago, a year ago, and even now, you'd swear it's 4 different people doing it. And the colorist B Studios just knocked it out of the park. They're located in Chris Madd, Sarah, and myself are all live in New Jersey. B Studios lives over in Indonesia, and it's doing a great job, depth the colors, and yeah, I can't say enough good about my creative team. Sam Gardone is my editor. He lives over in Pittsburgh, so, and he's also my business partner too. And that's one thing that you'll notice a lot about the upcoming Outpouring titles. They're all on a caliber to where you could legitimately feel like you walked into a comic shop and picked it up. It doesn't look indie. It looks mainstream, and then, that's the goal we're going for, because we want to be taken viewed and taken seriously, not just in the indie comic market, but in the comic market in general.
Nice. Well, it looks like it. I actually remember I complimented your wife's lettering the first time, so if she's gotten better, genuinely, I can't wait to see it. And again, anybody watching, I actually just got finished donating myself, sponsoring. What do you call it when you join a Kickstarter?
I think they call you. I think they call people backers.
Backers, yes, I backed it. There we go.
It's kind of a partnership. You pledge money you partner with us by pledging money, and we reward it. It's not actually, Kickstarter is not a place. Kickstarter makes it sale. Kickstarter makes it clear we are not a retail. It's you're partnering with the creators, and they're rewarding you for partnering with them.
So tell me about the rewards for how much you donate, because I noticed that I've jumped on a lot of Kickstarters before, and I've noticed that the rewards oftentimes, they seem to be pretty out there. These were surprisingly low.
Well, we try to provide value with every reward. Realistically, we don't want, it's you can get a physical copy of the comic for $8, and that includes the shipping too. We're not trying to gouge people who are who are partnering with us. We believe in giving fair rewards along the whole way. We try to get things as close to we try to keep it simple. You don't need to overcomplicate it. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. People like comics. People like to get more comics. People like digital. Some people like physical. People like to get art. They like original art in addition to printed art. And we just stuck with that for the time being. Yes, there are stretch goals getting at it that incorporate non-art, but we kept it all to comics and art for the initial part of the kit. That's what people really want. You know, if some people might want a T-shirt that they wear 3 times and then it goes to the bottom of their dresser drawer and they pull it out 5 years later when they're looking through and it ends up in a giveaway pile. But we want it to be something that, you know, we don't want rewards like that. Yeah, I'll wear my T-shirt every day, but I can almost guarantee you a Voda T-shirt is only for the hardcore Voda fan. It's not for the casual. It's not for the casual. Oh, I saw a cool Kickstarter fan.
Well, I also noticed that your ship, you don't charge shipping. Apparently, you'll ship wherever for that $8 rank, which is impressive. So you'll actually ship, like I saw, you'll ship to Canada. Apparently, you'll actually ship all the way to Indonesia if you want for only $8.
Worldwide shipping, actually, we do add money outside of the country.
Gotcha,
the United States and Canada is included in that tier, but you know, U.S. and Canada, the shipping is free, but you know, at the same time, it's worldwide. No, yeah, we tacked on the standard 15 for, as if, you know, if you had to ship to France or Spain or Australia, you're adding somewhere in between $12 to $25.
Okay, yeah.
Based off of what country it is. We added the standard 15. I look at it this way. People who buy digital comics, that's pure profit on our end. Most of the shipping has been factored into the cost. Like, I know how much it costs to print a comic. I know what price we're going to put on the Voda comic, but I know how much it costs to print a comic and how much your shipping costs. We are still making something on every tier. It might not be a lot. There are tiers that greatly favor the backer as opposed to favor us. But then, you know, we have one tier that people have pledged, which is all digital comics for $14. That's something we don't have to ship. So, you know, there's, once again, and I know people will say differently on this. I want to make the Kickstarter rewards as fair as possible. So if you're ordering a comic online from the store, you're going to have to pay shipping. After you order the comic online from the store, you're probably going to end up paying close to $7 anyway for the average comic. So 1 more to 8, it's a fair price all the way around. And that's one of the things we try to keep. You know, I know some people will sell their comics signed for $25 on Kickstarter. We're not here to gouge. We're here to get Voda in as many hands as possible. And yeah, do we want to take a loss? No, we don't want to take a loss. But we really want to get it into as many hands as possible.
Well, like I said, it does look like the prices are unbelievably fair. And I'm saying that seriously more on the backer side than your side. But hey, it's awesome, and I do feel that, you know, it's a really good way to get the comic out. Again, just with the 4 pages that are up there, I think that they're beautiful, and I think that, yeah, enough people are going to see that and suggest that it's definitely worth it. The story looks great, the art looks great, everything about it looks great. So, can we actually get into the individual characters in Voda?
Yeah, definitely. So we had the original 3 characters: Deadeye, Mr. Mole, and Gorilla Ghost. Voda was Deadeye's vision after his world was taken away from him. And, you know, the Valley of Death Alliance, they were going to be stationed in and out of the Death Valley area. And he, in comic number 1, he is looking, yeah, we'll throw a little history lesson with the classic Voda. In comic number 1, he battles a former crime boss by the name of the Butcher for his files, because he knows the Butcher is one of the few people that might have information on a legendary hacker known as Mr. Mole. After a series of back and forth in that one, Deadeye eventually gets the information, and he's actually able to track down Mr. Mole at the end of that comic. In the second comic, they're trying to figure out who the ghost killer is and if it could be a potential ally. They know there's a serial killer around the area somewhere in St. Louis that seems to be lashing out at the world that turned its back on them. So they try to put their efforts to that. They battle a group of heroes in the middle of it, and eventually by the end of it, they find out that they figure out that where they can find the ghost killer, and they also figure out that he is a gorilla. And then the third one is about to recruit a gorilla ghost, and they have some tangles with a group of, they don't know whether they're heroes or villains. They just know that the group seems to be testing them so they can show their resolve. So their original stories, what led to that point before, Deadeye, when he gained the power of direct eye contact equals death, to go with improved constitution and several skills he picked up being the head of a biker gang. He, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, everyone who was close to him, he killed within less than a day. So and immediately he got branded a serial killer. Immediately he got branded an outlaw, and he was completely rejected. People, they weren't calling for his arrest. It was, if you see this man, shoot on sight. One of those wanted dead or alive, and then the alive is crossed out from the bottom. But so it was one of those things where he knew he couldn't go anywhere. He knew he needed to find someone to team up with because he couldn't do it anymore. And he was at the point of giving up, but he kept on pushing through. And he eventually found Mr. Mole. Mr. Mole, on the day that he gained powers, he became very aware that not only he gained sapience, so he could communicate with humans. He also became very aware that he had very strong crafting technology skills, amongst other things that he would learn at a later point in time, like interdimensional hacking. He saw that the super division of the American government was quietly recruiting metahumans, trying to keep them hidden, but quietly recruiting. He offered his services, and he started to thrive in STAG. He was doing a great job, and eventually the person he was working with, the elitist, also known as Big Brother, got scared of that Mr. Mole would take his job away from him. He was even more infuriated one day when he saw that Mr. Mole was in their lab, and he was looking at the elitist's plans for the Omni Project. And the thing that scared him even more was Mr. Mole seemed to have a better grasp of his plans than even he had. He immediately framed him. Mr. Mole was pronounced a traitor, and he barely escaped with his life. The story of Gorilla Ghost is probably the saddest one of them all, because Gorilla Ghost was just a happy prize gorilla in a zoo, very content with his life. I think if you asked Gorilla Ghost for the first really while, he would go back, he would give up his sapience, just go back to being a gorilla in a zoo again. He had the life he wanted. He had a trainer that cared for him. The zookeeper cared for him. And on the day that the world gained powers, he saw his best and only friend killed in front of his eyes. He lashed back out against that person, killed the person, and he got blamed for the murder of his best friend. In a situation of kill or be killed, he killed and he fled. And that's Gorilla Ghost's story. And the three of them formed Voda because they knew they had nowhere else to go. They knew they couldn't continue to live their lives the way they were. They had experienced great loss, and they knew that with each other there was a better chance of being able to take revenge out on the world. And they started to work with each other. And soon they actually started to like each other. Dare I say, even friendship between them. And as that grew, they were put in situations to where Mr. Mole was able to get the plans for the Omni Project. and he was able to build on the project. During that time, Deadeye found that there were aliens being experimented on, because NASA in our universe is actually a pretty evil organization. So they had already touched base on other planets, collected native species to those planets, and brought them back. Deadeye was able to help save Ninjina from them, and in that fight, he established himself as the alpha male. Ninjina was an alpha female on her planet, and in her mind, if an alpha meets an alpha, they make a alpha spawn. So Ninjina became connected to Deadeye in that way, and their child is actually someone who we cover in a comic later this fall. And then the final one day when Gorilla Ghost was out doing a mission, he ran into an older lady, rejected in a back alley. She's just called Granny for now. I don't want to reveal too much about that yet, but she had been thrown out of the house by her son. An 80-year-old woman thrown out of the house by her son because she displayed certain powers, and they backfired on his chances of achieving something. His family is her only living relatives, and he basically said, "I want nothing to do with you anymore." Gorilla Ghost found her, saw that the story was something he could relate to, and welcomed her in to become a part of Voda. And that's how the team formed. But as they lived with each other, as they got to know each other better, they realized two things. They genuinely cared about each other. They had become a family. They genuinely loved each other. And number two, they couldn't do 6 of them versus the world anymore. So they had to try to make other allies somewhere else. And that's the story of what happened to Voda in the classic edition, the first 3 issues, and the 3 months leading up to where this issue takes place.
Nice. Now, something about Voda that I found interesting from the first time that we talked. You said that everything in your world is connected.
Yes.
So, what other comics are going to come up after this that are going to be connected to the story with Voda? How many issues, first off, are going to be in this this run of Voda? And then, the previous question.
Okay. You're asking how this Voda has connected to other series, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. There is actually, it's part of the big page 5 reveal, but I'll give a little teaser because this is the first interview I'm doing for the Kickstarter. Voda directly connects to our Necrozar title, the one that takes place in the Outpouring Comics underworld. It directly connects in this issue. You only have to have a basic knowledge of this new issue of Voda and a basic knowledge of our Necrozar graphic novel in order to immediately connect the two together. Wow. It's part of the page 5 reveal. I don't want to say anything, but I mean, the fact of the matter is, I've already said Outpouring Underworld, Sulfur, and Mind Control, and kind of piece together what might be coming on page 5. And Voda has previously connected with the title of Heroes United. There's also a moment in the Voda story that if a reviewer were to look at it, they might think it's a plot hole, that it's something that we left unresolved. And we intentionally left it unresolved. There is a 2-panel conversation between Mr. Mull and Omni Project that really most readers should have no clue. And the ones who think they have a clue to what's going on in those 2 panels are just basically fooling themselves into thinking they have a clue. Because that is something that connects to a mini comic that's actually going to be available at the end of the Voda story. So if you read the mini comic, which we will be revealing that next week, if you read the mini comic at the end, you will see how it directly affects the Voda story. This Voda is part of a larger arc called the Blockbuster. And we haven't said that around yet. That's one of those things that we're going to be updating on the Kickstarter as it goes halfway through. It's going to read Voda issue 1, the Blockbuster. Voda is in an arc that we are referring to as the Blockbuster. And you know what? I don't mind spoiling a little of that. There is a that decided the best possible use of their newfound power was to make the greatest superhero reality TV movie of all time.
Oh, wow.
They are manipulating heroes and villains versus each other. They are trying to get footage of every major conflict that there is between metahumans. And you can see how their story both begins at the end of the Voda comic, and you can see how they tried to mess with Voda in the middle of the Voda comic. I'm not saying any more about that, though. There will be a page. There will be a page of Blockbuster available by the end of the Kickstarter, and yeah. So that's a little bit, and that group is going to. You'll also see the last few panels on their mini comic is actually going to lead into the Blockbuster series, which will be Renegade Nation issue 1.
Wow.
And
so we're actually getting this about 2 weeks early, because I saw on the Kickstarter that you were saying that it's going to come up, pretty soon, but not right away. So, wow. Appreciate you revealing so much on this.
oh, no problem.
Man.
It's once again, we're not revealing a picture of the villain at all, but I don't mind revealing. I don't want to keep all my secrets because obviously people are turning out for this, and this is an interview. This isn't me doing a Facebook Live. This is something that I want to give a little extra for, especially since you made the time to actually chat with me tonight.
Forget about it. It's nothing. No, absolutely. So how long is the last Voda went for about 3 issues, 3 graphic novels worth. How long should this one go for?
Let's see. Where we currently are, the second issue of this new Voda arc is actually going to involve some of the aftermath of what actually happens in this issue. I can't go into specifics, but there will be another thing that is connected to our Necrozar series in there. The issue after that, the consequence, Voda does something in this first issue that leads to direct consequences, not just with the underworld, but with other planes of existence too. They have to, they basically get themselves into a little trouble in this issue without realizing it, and that sets up for the Voda issue 3. And eventually something happens in Voda issue 3 that completely sets Blockbuster off. So the 4th issue of Voda the Blockbuster will actually end in a fight between Voda and Blockbuster.
Nice. So I like that your heroes don't seem to be like Superman level. They're essentially like more of a realistic, in a sense, street level sort of power set, which I absolutely love, and I don't think we have nearly enough in comic books today. What else do you have in general in the future that, upcoming, that you're willing to part with?
What was that? Oh, sorry.
No problem.
That
What
we're
else
willing to part with.
Part with, I mean, like, willing to reveal. What else you got coming up that we should know about? Because I love that everything is connected. It seems like everything is standalone, but you are still able to connect it with other things to get pieces filled in.
Well, the next three releases that will be after Voda, before we lead into the next Voda and Renegade Nation, will feature the titles of the series are Draugr, Dark Ashes, Deathly Light, and In Limbo. In Limbo will be the third one coming after Voda. In Limbo, the main protagonist in that series is the daughter of Deadeye and Ninjina. Her name is Renegade. I've mentioned NASA before. I've mentioned Estad before. A joint space exploration between of NASA and Estad working together lands on each planet to form relationships with all the planets this time around and bring back ambassadors. The one that they run into on Venus, which is the planet of Carl, is the daughter of Deadeye and Ninjina. I'm not. the reason why she ended up there is because Ninjina insisted that Renegade prove her worth growing up the way she did and learning the lessons of the girl. Deadeye very reluctantly agreed to it. So they sent her back to the planet of Venus. Mr. Mole, who's one of our very few incredibly overpowered characters at this point in time, is actually capable of space exploration and interdimensional travel. But you know, as a whole, we don't allow many characters to break it. But for him, we have allowed that. So you will be following the tale of Renegade as well. The tagline for it is a story of soul searching and space exploration. She's wondering why her parents neglected her, why she was sent away, what is love, because it's not an emotion that girls feel as a whole. What are friends? She's learning that all. And while they're traveling through space and picking up ambassadors from all the other planets. I started with that one, and I'm moving back to Dark Ashes Deathly Light. Dark Ashes Deathly Light takes place on the planet of Matha Hatset, which is Uranus. Renegade is actually going to meet up with both the Dark Ashes protagonist and the Deathly Light protagonist. Dark Ashes Deathly Light is a flip book. If you have the book from one end, it's the story of Dark Ashes. You follow Prism as your protagonist and Kulema as your antagonist. You flip the book over, it's Deathly, well, that was Deathly Light, I explained. It's Dark Ashes, you follow Kulema as your protagonist and Prism as your antagonist. The center page of that book is going to be a pinup that works from both sides. And it's always going to have the Prism and Kulema staring each other down. Kulema's species is a species made out of death and darkness, and Prism species is a species made out of gemstone and light. Think of Prism is an Alexander the Great style character, and Kulema is a High Priest Peter patterned after character. So, and yes, we do the twist of Kulema being almost a good guy of darkness, and Prism being a villain of light. So Renegade will cross them, and that's how that ties in. And then the one before that, which will be, I'm not sure whether Dark Ashes Deathly Light or Draugr's the next release. Draugr story will directly relate to Renegade's story in the future. It does not currently connect to anything. It will not connect to anything for the first 2 years at least. But you're following the story of a everyday normal girl who is unfortunate enough to put on an artifact that allows the spirit of a Draugr to possess her. Draugrs are from Draugrs are a undead species from Norse mythology. Look it up. It's very interesting. It holds very true to Norse mythology that's based after. And you're looking at it, she's natural. Well, I'll explain how that ties in. She's both battling the supernatural and battling the demon inside of her. So you're getting that story of both the internal conflict and more supernatural battle. The supernatural battle made possible because, once again, Mr. Mole has thinned the veil between all of the world, between all the planes of existence. So therefore, the spirit of the Draugr was able to come into this world as a result of Mr. Mole's hubris, essentially. So, and that's, you know, we've just made the full circle connecting everything.
Nice. Love it. I also while we're talking, I seem to be hearing myself in here, so I'm going to take this off. I also remember you saying that you guys actually played all of these games in so much as Mutants and Masterminds, and that's why, because I'm thinking, why is this stuff so incredibly detailed? It's impossible. But now I'm remembering, you guys actually played all these games first, all these characters, right?
We didn't play all of these characters. We developed personalities of a lot of these characters through through tabletop roleplay. But there's been a lot of development that have gone into these characters since then. We took characters that were deep already, and we just added even more layers to them. With that said, Deadeye was he was only ever a NPC in the comics. Mr. Mole was only ever an NPC. Kulema and Prison were only a boss battle ever in the tabletop roleplay. Draugr was never in it. The one character the two characters that have really benefited from being in the roleplay system, Renegade is actually a character that was completely developed in the roleplay system. The player asked me if they could play the daughter of Deadeye, and I was like, well, even better, you can play the daughter of Deadeye. And the character was developed, and a lot of characters that are in the Limbo series had made their first appearances in RPs, and you actually get to see a little bit of that background. So in Limbo is very strongly influenced by the RPs. The other one too, Necrozar from his self-titled series, he's been a multiple-time recurring villain. Sometimes an ally, sometimes a boss battle. Sometimes the player group heard the name and just ran the other direction because he gained that level of infamy in the role plays. And yeah, since then he has been developed even more by Chris Rubenstahl. But yes, out of this current batch of characters, about I would say probably about half of them first appeared in RPs, and others were made to complement the stories of characters that existed. And probably a good third of them were really developed in RPs and had a little more added after the point.
Nice. All right. Is there anything else you want to discuss about the Kickstarter? Like, here's your closing your closing statement.
Just at 50% funded, we are going to be adding a variant cover to the mix. Anyone who is getting a physical copy of the comic will be able to choose between the regular cover and the variant cover. Anyone who has pledged the digital support will be receiving both covers in it. We have at 50% is when the milestones really begin to start. Stuff that we add on when we hit 50%, when we hit 75%, 90%, and 100%. So there will be bonuses that will be coming the rest of the way from here. We have a long list of stretch goals that we would love to get through all of them, but well, one step at a time. And yeah, tell you what, for anyone who makes a pledge based off of this comment in the notes, send me a message. Say that just type Comic Book University, and you will actually get a little special bonus onto your prize. I can't say what that bonus is because I don't know what tier you're going to buy, but I will make it'll be a little something extra, knowing that if you let me know that you heard about the Voda Kickstarter through Comic Book University.
Jeez. All right. Wow. Okay. You guys heard it here first. I mean, that's how it is. So Comic Book, now I have to go back because I already pledged. So I already go back and type in.
I already got you, bro.
I appreciate that. And the digital comics will be released around sometime in October 2017. I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah. Say again?
That's what we're saying. They should come before that, but October is the worst case scenario.
All right. Well, as soon as I get it, yeah, it's absolutely good. Issue number 1 is absolutely going to be reviewed. I've already seen the first 4 pages, so we'll see what happens. In fact, that's probably where I'm going to take my preview pages from, is from the Kickstarter. Nice. And I am genuinely looking forward to it. So that's pretty much it. Anything else, John?
No, that would be all.
All right.
Just a big thank you to you, Bill, and big thanks to my creative team and everyone who's back so far. We greatly appreciate it, and we thank you for all the pledges, support, and likes and shares.
Even your editor who beat the living crap out of you said, right?
Yes, but he's a great guy, though.
Awesome.
He's ultimately making me a better writer.
Nice. All right, guys, that's all we got. Thanks for showing up, and see you on the flip side. Don't forget, you pledge literally like the minimum is $2, I think, right? And just add in the notes, Comic
Yep.
Book University. Bang, you get a little something extra, and I think John will make it good. He's good people. He's from Jersey. All right, guys,
Yeah.
that's it. Professor Bill and John, Comic Book University, class dismissed.